Welcome to Exploring the Illusion of Free Will. My name is George Ortega. I'm here with my co-host Enel. Enel, good to see you. Okay, this is like April 27th. I think it's show number like 119. But we're on location in Central Park, okay, because we want to do these outdoor shoots because it's a beautiful day and stuff. And today we're going to talk about like Enel's trading places theory.
Finally.
Why we don't have free will.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Finally.
We don't have to hold this up.
No.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's first, before I get the show started with my favorite theory that I invented, the most influential theory, easiest to understand, the so-called trading places theory by Mr. Enel. We first want to discuss what free will means before I refute it vehemently.
All right. Basically, free will means, if we had it, that whatever we do is up to us. That nothing that's not in our control, like our conditioning, like our genes, like what we know and don't know, like causality, would be making us do stuff, you know, that's not in our control. Right?
So free will means making decision 100% independent of genetics and conditioning, otherwise known as your genetics and how you were raised. We do not choose our parents. We do not choose how we were raised. Why is this topic so important? See, I'm getting very excited today.
This is so important because, like, our world is completely deluded about the second fundamental fact of who we are as human beings. You know, the first fact is that we exist. The second fact is we do things. If we get this second fact, if we think that stuff is up to us when absolutely nothing is,
you're just along for the ride.
That's major.
It's a predetermined movie.
In other words, our world is entirely... We can't blame ourselves because, again, we don't have a free will, but the world's completely deluded about who we are as people.
Let's get into the refutation. Did you see a movie called Trading Places in the 80s? Have you ever heard of it?
I did. Eddie Murphy, right?
Right. Anyway, the theory I call Trading Places has a catchy title. Let's start at the beginning. Most people who believe in free will, or all people believe, if you have free will, you are ultimately morally responsible, correct?
Correct.
So that means there's heaven and hell, because if you have free will, God or the universe or whatever, after you die, can judge your life if it's freely willed. Right?
Right.
So those who did well or chose God at the last second, or even if they're serial killers, if they repent, can go to heaven. And those people who are just evil through and through, who never get closer to God, end up in hell for all of eternity. Now, if you were... I want the audience to take a notepad and think for a few seconds. Name in your head the 5 most evil people that have ever come to Earth. Can you do that for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Let the audience speak to your person next to you who's watching. Think of the most evil people. 6, 7... Okay, so I got a list. I've got Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, Jeffrey Dahmer, Bernie Madoff, and say the Boston bombers. Now, trading places theory is very simple. If you were either of these people, any of these people, atom for atom, quark for quark, neuron for neuron, synapse for synapse. I got to get very particular so people get this.
Absolutely.
Neutrino, what's the smallest thing? A boson now? I mean, they just discovered that. Soul, people always say, well, if I had my soul, okay, soul for soul, mind for mind. Guess what, George?
You would be that person. Am I? Yeah.
So you would be that person, and they would be you if you traded places. So how can you put you, yourself, in jail or hell for all of eternity if you could have had those atoms, those quarks, those neurons, that soul, that mind, those parents, those conditions that you were raised under? You would have been identical to them, and guess what? You would have done everything they did in every conceivable way, physically, mentally, emotionally, existentially, metaphysically, did I say intellectually? Chemically. I'm trying to think of every possible fathomable. You would have been them and acted exactly the same way in every conceivable way. With trading places theory, you see that free will is impossible because that implies ultimate moral responsibility. But with trading places theory, there can be no ultimate moral responsibility because you could have just as easily been that person.
Right. In other words,
I rest my case, Your Honor. It is the people versus the universe. The universe wins.
Yeah.
The universe has no free will. The people say they do. I represent the universe.
We
A
don't
cause
get-
and effect monster.
Right. We don't get to decide. Are you timing this? Because like.
That was 5 minutes.
Okay. Are you timing this?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to set the alarm.
Dude.
What?
Oh, you are timing it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Let's discuss how trading places proves where is the freedom of will in what I just said.
Well, that's
You
the thing.
could have been Osama bin Laden.
Right. And we don't get to decide who we are. That's the thing that he's making for. In other words, like, it's just, if you're
Oh,
not...
that's what the answer is? That I chose to be Enel blank, or I chose to be
That's right. And you
Saddam.
don't-
I chose to be
and
this
you don't.
ruler of South Korea,
don't
North
choose-
Korea before.
You don't get to choose who you are. You don't get to choose... In other words, like, it's by the luck of the draw that you're not any of these...
So how can the North Korean ruler be evil when he's raised in an environment where his father was the dear leader, the superior being that everybody revered and loved in North Korea? This is his father. He loves his father, his role model. Of course he's going to act like his father. How is he evil? All he did was do what his father told him to do, or the 19-year-old Boston bomber did what his brother did. The way you get rid of this evil, or retribution and damages that people do for revenge, is to simply spread to the universe that there's no free will. That's how you stop hate on hate.
Exactly. In other words, like, when there's evil done in the world, like this Boston bomb or whatever, these brothers and all, when evil happens, this happens all the time, fine, evil has happened, but it wasn't up to them.
But they don't think they're evil. They think we're evil.
I know.
It's relativistic. That's the point. There's no ultimate moral responsibility.
My point is, like, all right, if you believe in the illusion of free will, you will hate those people. And let me tell you something. Hate is not a pleasant emotion for you to experience or for people to communicate to each other. You know, the more hate there is in the world...
It breeds more hate.
Exactly.
And more bombings, and
Right.
more Osama bin Ladens, and more 9/11s, etc. And more interrupting.
Right, so the idea is that, like, you know, if nothing is up to us, if we don't have a free will, there may be evil in the world, but it's not our evil. It's the evil of the Big Bang, the universe, call it whatever you want. But that way, we're all absolved, you know, that there are no evil people. There are people that the universe compels to do evil deeds.
Now let me talk about something else. This is kind of my show today, finally. Quantum mechanics, this Mikio Kaku crap that quantum mechanics ends the free will debate, quantum uncertainty principle. So, you know, if I'm on a bus, right, and I have quantum neurons firing off indeterminate synapse triggers, and I suddenly, randomly, indeterminately act like this, right, and I go on a bus, and I'm on a bus, right, and I go like this, and I knock the bus driver into the steering wheel, we're flying off the road, and we kill 25 people on the bus, but I'm not killed, and I'm at a trial. Am I actually am I evil? I'm indeterminate. I can't control it. How am I taking responsibility for that?
And you want to know something?
My lawyer's going to argue that.
Where's the watch? Where's your... No, we got to keep
9:20.
track. I know, but let me have it, because we got to...
I'm making the show funny for a change.
I know, good. All right, it's funny. It's funny. He's like...
How am I... that's quantum indeterminacy.
Yes. But let me tell you...
I'm going to go skiing off a cliff now. It's indeterminate. There's no cost to everything.
A lot of people say...
I feel like I'm going to eat this phone.
No
determinants.
Shut up. A lot of people say that no, not everything is determined. Not everything is causal. Some things are random and indeterminate. There is no...
It's indeterminate. I can't stop it.
Cut it out.
It's not me. It's my quantum. My quantum brain is just throwing off signs.
This guy springs fever. It's like...
There's no causality.
All right. Anyway, the idea is, like, even if there was no causality...
Would you like to eat my finger? There's no causality.
Even if there was no causality, okay? If things just happen at random... First of all, things don't happen at random.
I'm saying if they did, how nonsense.
I know, but that's what we're trying to explain. Cause
I did with my visual.
Shut up! A lot of people say that if everything is not determined, if everything is not causal, that somehow leaves room for free will. That actually makes free will much more impossible, because, like, if things are not caused, if our decisions are not caused, they're not caused by us. They're not caused by free will.
But what about this nonsense that we agree that life... we both hate free... We don't believe in free will. Obviously, we have a show. I never said that things aren't... I agree that things are not predictable. That doesn't prove free will.
Right.
That's the other nutty, crazy argument. There's Mikio Kaku and these nutty free will people believe that just because things are not determined, meaning I can't predict it, I know you agree, and I certainly agree, that nothing's predictable. That's just because there are too many variables to number. So if we knew all the variables, and they are there, but if we could build a hypothetical machine, this is all hypothetical because, you know, Einstein said traveling to speed, no one's going to be traveling to speed up, but if you could find all the variables, you would predict everything.
Right.
But just because there are too many, that doesn't mean it's not determinate, it just means there are too many variables. So just because things are not predictable does not prove free will, which I've said with the ping pong balls and the lottery and roulette wheels and craps wheels are all based on probability and causality. But they're not predictable because we just don't know all the variables. But if you did know how the dice were thrown with the grease on your fingers and the different weights of the, you know, every die has a marking of paint, like a 1 has a 1 and 6, it's a little heavier because it's got 6 dots. If you had the world's greatest weighing machine, you could figure and exactly the angle, you could figure it out. But I never said things are predictable. I don't want anyone telling me that.
Right. And even so, like,
I never said that.
with quantum mechanics,
still the things are still determined.
A lot of people will say that.
Do you believe in free will?
Yes.
Oh, she does. See, another nut.
A lot of people will say, well, in the quantum world, quantum mechanics, particles don't behave deterministically. You know, their behavior is unpredictable fundamentally, whatever. But that's inconsequential because that particle behavior is caused, okay? We can't predict it subjectively because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, granted. But that doesn't mean that the particle is behaving in an uncaused manner.
If a particle's here, and now it's here, how did that happen?
Exactly. So there's got to be a cause for everything. And again, let's reiterate this. Even if there was such a thing as a particle or a thought or a human being behaving in an uncaused manner, if our thoughts, if our decisions, I know, but I got to see it.
12 minutes.
If our thoughts and decisions and stuff were not, you know, caused, you know, you can't.
That would mean random.
They couldn't be caused by free will. That's the thing.
Well, those decisions and acts would be random.
Right.
Surely no one's taking responsibility for a random act.
And
like I just proved on the bus.
Right. And
how could I be personally responsible for all of eternity for something I had no control over?
Right.
My quantum physics crazy neurons were firing off in all sort of indeterminate ways that didn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Firing off synapses and nervous system reactions that I couldn't control. I knocked the bus driver for a loop and got in a terrible accident. Now, they would remove me from society and lock me up, but not because they hate me. They would just fear me.
Exactly.
It's like how unfortunate that Enel has random neurotransmitter indeterminate quantum mechanics disorder.
So the idea is a lot of people are saying that, like, well, if you, like, abandon the belief in free will, then pandemonium will just, like, be set loose, that, like, it'll be total anarchy.
Just the opposite.
People will
just
be
the
doing
opposite.
whatever they want and stuff. It's not going to happen. We're not going to allow people to get away with doing stuff that's harmful to themselves and others.
Wait.
Just because they don't have free will.
There would be pandemonium if there actually were free will, because there would be no causality to anything. People would be going from here to there for absolutely no reason. A guy who was a cab driver the next day would wake up thinking he should be an Italian soccer player, even though he's from Peru. Suddenly he's now a Portuguese fisherman when he's, you know, was a school teacher his whole life in Albania. I mean, with free will there would be pandemonium and nothing would make sense. It's only that the only reason why there's order in the world is because it's causal.
Exactly.
It's just the opposite.
What
nothing would get you to crazy pandemonium, nonsensical reality faster than actually having free will.
I think that camera's crooked. But anyway,
I think a lot of things are crooked.
No. So anyway,
you understand what I'm saying?
The idea is, like, in other words, if you were making your decisions free of reasons, free of your conditioning, free of your genetics, then that would be complete anarchy. That'd be like, that's, you know, like you're making completely nonsensical, whatever reasons. Okay.
I mean, if there was no causality, every day that we woke up in the morning, we would decide a different profession, a different nationality. We'd have different expertise that we thought we had. I would suddenly, you know, maybe be a fireman in Paraguay, or, you know, I don't know, something that I'm not a Russian nuclear scientist, even though I'm not Russian. With no causality, nothing leading me back to the state before. It would be total chaos.
Okay. All right. So
I would start eating my shoe for no reason. I mean,
Have we? Do you want to say
more?
Let's
go into the next topic.
Next topic. All right. Well,
how about the hedonic imperative?
Well, all right. Hedonic imperative. Here's another way of understanding how free will is impossible. Basically, we're hardwired to seek pleasure. There's a helicopter up there.
By the way, with all our refutations, how many do you actually feel? How many refutations do we have? About 15 good ones?
Well, I don't know.
20?
No, it depends. Different reasons.
Well, causality is always number one.
Causality, the unconscious, the hedonic principle.
I like trading places now.
All right.
We've got a lot, but let's do the, okay, all right, whichever one you want.
All right, let's do the hedonic principle. All right. Basically, we're hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's what we do as human beings. That's what all organisms do. Some people might say, well, no, that's not necessarily the case, because a lot of times we'll do stuff that's not unpleasant. That we'll make decisions that cause ourselves pain. But actually, the idea behind this is like when we're doing, for example, let's say a marathon runner or something. They'll run 26 miles, they'll endure a lot of pain, but they're doing that because they predict that there's a payoff to that. Or if, let's say, you're a mom, you're sacrificing your time, your effort, your mind for your kids. Okay, you're doing that because you're satisfying your conscience. It would be less pleasant for you in a certain way to neglect your kids than to sacrifice yourself for your kids' sake.
Right.
So basically, if we're making every decision...
Or if everything you do is to get into heaven... That's not sacrificing, folks.
Right.
That's a trade-off.
Right. If everything that every human being does in life is to seek pleasure and avoid pain, think about it. Every decision, that's not free will. We're conditioned. That's as if you were a robot and you were conditioned or programmed to, like, every time you hit a wall that you're going to make a left turn. Okay. So obviously that's not the case. All right. What else?
Right now you're watching the show, and your hedonic imperative is quickly calculating what our competition is at this exact time slot on your Manhattan, whatever, if you have FiOS or RCM or Time Warner. How are we tickling that little mechanism of whether or not you should flip the channel right now? You're trying to think, well, the Yankees still on, or do I have to cook more food, or what 11 o'clock can I probably do? I mean, we're in competition with all these other competing hedonic imperative options. Hopefully you stick and watch us and keep watching, knowing that we're the best thing that you could be doing right now, because it's very informative, very controversial, and very needed to discuss free will and how it doesn't exist.
All right, we've got about 10 minutes left, and
everything has a cause.
And that's exactly what we want to talk about now, because that's the basic reason free will is impossible. Because we explore a lot of other kind of implications of free will being an illusion and all, but until you understand that causality makes free will impossible, you're not going to appreciate, the value of knowing this.
Causality or acausality.
Right.
Or lack of causality makes free will impossible.
So the idea is, okay, everything has a cause, period. Our decisions have causes, our feelings have causes, our actions have causes, okay?
And what if someone says, I agree with you?
Everything has a cause. So, I want to go through this, so they understand. So, all right, everything has a cause. That means, you make a decision, okay? It doesn't matter what the decision is. It's going to have a cause. It doesn't matter if you know the cause or not. It's going to have a cause. Now, because everything has a cause, that cause of your decision is also going to have a cause.
You want to do the Ortega two-step refutation?
No, come on.
I like that two-step you put in.
We can do that later. All right. So there's going to be a cause to your decision. There's going to be a cause to the cause of your decision. There's going to be a cause to the cause to the cause of your decision. And basically this is causality. This is cause and effect. This goes back in time.
And it goes forward in time.
Right. So what happens is a cause can never come after the effect.
Right.
And so,
as a visual,
So, all right.
Here's your life, cause moment by moment back stretching behind.
So think about it. If every decision you make has a cause, and everything has a cause,
/reason.
There's a cause,
reason
whatever
helps.
cause.
Reason.
No, forget reason, because sometimes people say, well, I do things for no reason, but there's still a cause.
Random.
But there's still a cause. It doesn't matter. A reason is kind of like basically that you have a reason for doing things, but a lot of times we do things for no apparent reason. I mean, the reason might be in our unconscious.
No apparent reason.
Let me finish this. All right, so basically, you have this chain of cause and effect. These causes going back in time, because a cause can never be, after an effect.
But every effect becomes a cause.
Come on!
Do you know that?
Yes. The chain of cause and effect, all right, behind every decision goes back to before you were born. That's the thing. If you've got this chain of causality, cause and effect, going back in time, cause by cause by cause to before you were born, you have events that happened before you were born, completely deciding everything you do.
That's right.
Now, all right. try to explain. How do people not get this? I don't understand. I mean, this is
If
so...
things were a little different in this world, we would be all speaking Native American tongue here in Manhattan, Dutch, or be part of the British Empire. So things that happened before we were born affect us. They're still,
Again, that's the basic
You know what
reason.
I'm saying?
Right. The basic reason why free will is impossible is causality. And it's unfortunate that, like, causality, you want to know something?
Unfortunate.
You want to know how fundamental causality is to the world? Science, the empirical method couldn't work without causality. In other words, how we discern truth in the world is through the scientific method, through science. And basically in science, the empirical method basically means same cause, same effect. That's why they'll do an experiment, do it over and over, and if they always get the same effect after the same cause, they know there's a pattern, they understand
And
the
in
causality.
quantum mechanics, it's all based on probability, which is causal.
Right, all right. So the idea is, like, causality is fundamental, and then, like, what I was saying is it's unfortunate they don't teach this in school, because, like...
Well, there's a reason for that, a cause for that. Why don't they teach it in school?
I know, they don't understand. First, they kind of teach it, they
Nature and nurture. They do
like,
teach it.
You want to know? They do. They right. When in like, look at that bubble. In biology, and when you're in junior high school, they teach you that human behavior is a result of nature and nurture. Okay, nature is our genes, our heredity, what we got passed down, whatever, from previous generations. Our environment or conditioning is what we learned from our parents, what we learned in our experiences, what we learn in life. So, like, when we're learning this stuff, and everybody learns this, they never teach us, like, well, it's nature, nurture, and this nebulous thing called free will, because they understand, it's not part of science. So,
I mean, the fairy tale of free will. It's not nebulous. It's nebulous too.
Yeah. All right. So we got about, like, 6 minutes left. Again, causality. Everything has to have a cause. You can't have things going on that are not a cause.
Even if you believe in free will, there's a cause for that. You didn't come out, you weren't born with a belief system. Someone taught that to you.
Right, and you got to remember.
You didn't come out of the womb talking about free will. Some parent, minister, or someone you look up to when you were being raised told you, or somehow you learned through life, I don't know who could have taught you, that there is something called free will, but there's still a reason or a cause that you came up with that.
Right, and you want to know something?
So it's all conditioning.
If you don't understand
brainwash, propaganda.
If you don't understand why causality refutes free will, why causality makes free will impossible, it's not your fault. Don't feel bad about it, because, like, you can't understand what the universe or the causal past doesn't allow you.
I want to address one thing. What about people say everything is caused, I'm the cause. It's a cause and effect. I cause the cause.
All right,
I make things happen. I'm the little god that self-causes the cause of. So you're right, everything is caused. There's an effect to my cause, but I initiate that cause.
Okay, when people say that, basically they're neglecting to factor in the fact that there's a cause to your causing it. In other words, causality doesn't stop at the person. In other words, if I make a decision, the causal chain doesn't stop there. There has to be a cause to my making the decision. And, like, some people will say, well, they started the chain of cause and effect leading to the decision. No, causality.
It's one cause.
Somebody who says that doesn't understand
one
causality.
Causal chain. If everybody's life is one long causal chain from the moment they were conceived.
And
there's no, like, I had one causal chain till I was 11, then I turned over a new leaf on my 11th birthday. I lasted to 19, then I had a new leaf, turned over a new leaf. It's all one causal chain, moment by moment. So there's no sudden new causal chain that you intersect with. Everybody's got their causal chain coming from the day they were, I don't like to say born, because you were conditioned from the genetics point of view. Your mother could have had chocolate milk the first moment in the hospital you were conceived, and you love chocolate, or she had too much coffee that first trimester or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And you became allergic to coffee. So the causal chain is from the moment of inception or conception?
Conception, but no, it's before that. In other words, like...
Not really.
No, think about it, because, like, there is, like, this chain of causality is not limited to human beings, to the human body. In other words, there's a cause for the conception, there's a cause for the insemination, there's a cause to all that. This chain of cause and effect goes back to the Big Bang.
Right, but on this show called No Free Will, I'm just refuting free will for each person's lifespan.
So basically, what Enel's saying is like...
I know, you're right.
Right, no,
but I really just want everybody to understand that in your lifespan, which is from the moment you were conceived to the moment you die, which is usually about 85 years these days, maybe 90 for women, 85 for men, human beings do not possess free will in their human lifespan, period, end of story. He'll go on and tell you it goes all the way back to the Big Bang. That's great, but then I might lose some viewers who believe in the crazy nonsense. Well, I don't want who believe in the story of creation.
Got a minute and a half.
Who believe in aliens invading the Earth and starting creation. Any story other than the Big Bang, because he's a Big Bang fanatic, still does not prove free will. We both believe in the Big Bang. I believe in evolution slightly different than he, but that doesn't matter.
Fine, I know.
That doesn't matter.
Another
it
way to
just
understand,
doesn't matter.
Another way to
just doesn't matter. Remember that?
Yes, another way to understand causality.
What movie is that from?
The state of the universe at one moment completely causes or determines.
But it's not dependent on the Big Bang.
Come on, let me finish.
What movie was that I just
I don't know. Come on.
Meatballs.
Cut it out.
No, it's 28 minutes, I keep telling you.
We've got an introduction that's about 20 seconds long.
27:30. Let's go longer, then you'll cut it off later.
We can't go longer.
No, it's going to be worse if we just shut off.
We've got 30 seconds to end.
Trust me. Let's talk about subliminal advertising. Things are flashed that you're not even aware of. That cause, how can you get free will if there's subliminal advertising?
All right, the idea is like free will is an illusion. To the extent we understand this, the world will be much, much better. This is George Ortega now saying, we'll be back to explain this until you get it. We'll be back next time.